Welcome to Shantha Lakshmi IAS Academy, International Organizations Explained series. In this video, we are going to discuss about G7 or Group of 7, which comes under the syllabus of GS2, International Relations. This year, G7 will be important for prelims because on January 18th, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has invited Prime Minister Modi as a guest to G7 summit, which is going to be held in June 2021. Coming to the topic, generally, types of questions that UPSC often asks about international organization are either members of the organization or statement-based questions. For example, in 2014, it has asked about BRICS, as you can see here. So while studying about any organization, apart from knowing its members, we also need to focus on few things like its first summit venue, the year it happened, also the last member to join the organization. Also, if you can see, 2015 prelims question, UPSC has asked about the reason for its establishment and the aim of the organization. So, we will study G7 by solving a model prelims question based on these previous year questions as we have seen just now. So, here is the question. Let us solve it. The first statement says that the first summit of G7 was held in Puerto Rico in 1973. The first part till Puerto Rico is right, but the year is wrong. The correct statement would be, the first summit of G7 was held in Puerto Rico, which is in USA, in the year 1976. Next, the second statement says, it is an alliance meant for international security only. So till here, it is right, but the word only is wrong. Because the aim of G7 is not just about international security, but also about economic governance, energy policy, etc. Coming to the third statement, it is given that the decisions taken by G7 are binding in nature. The statement is wrong because the decisions taken by G7 members are not binding in nature because it is an unofficial forum, which means there is no constitution, no permanent headquarters. That is why decisions taken by them don't have any legal effect. So as we can see, given three statements are wrong, so the answer would be D. Let us see a few other points about G7. It is an organization of 7 advanced economies or democracies about which we are going to see in a minute. G7 was formed in 1975 in response to 1973 oil crisis. The G7 nations meet at annual summits that are presided over by leaders of member countries on a rotational basis. Remember, it is presided by heads of the government like Prime Minister or President, but not the ministers. Next, Russia joined in 1997 and then it was known as G8, but got expelled in 2014 after annexation of the Crimea region of Ukraine by Russia. As you can see the map, this is the Crimea region of Ukraine annexed by Russia. Based on this point, UPSC has asked a question in 2009 prelims. The question is, a present group of nations known as G8 started first as G7. Which one among the following was not one of them? As we have seen before, Russia joined in the last and G7 became G8, and the answer is Russia. Now, let us look at the member countries and their locations. See, there are few very important organizations where we have to remember its member countries. To memorize them, we can use either acronym methods or we can memorize countries by going continent-wise in the map. So let us go from west to east and let us take North American continent. As we know, G7 is about advanced economies. So advanced economies of North America are Canada and USA. Next, there are no countries in South America. Coming to the Europe. Remember, whenever countries of Europe comes into the picture, first look out whether the big four of Europe are members or not. Here, the big four of Europe are members of G7 and they are France, Germany, Italy, and UK. Next, there are no countries from the continent Africa. Now we'll move to Asia. The only advanced economy of Asia is Japan. So these are the 7 countries of G7. I hope now it is clear how to memorize international organization members, and you can use this method for other organizations as well. Now, let us see the criticism or challenges of G7. Number one challenge is internal disagreements between the members of G7. For example, there are clashes between USA and other G7 nations over taxes on imports and action on climate change. The second challenge is, as you have seen before in the map, there was no country from the southern hemisphere. So G7 is often criticized for not being representative of countries from the global south. Now, let us look at the relationship between India and G7. As we have seen in the beginning of the video, that UK invited India along with countries like South Korea and Australia as a guest to G7. Remember, it was not the first time though. It was invited in the years from 2005 to 2009 and 2019. You don't need to remember the years, but remember that it was not the first time. The invitation to G7 coming June shows that democracies around the world want to take use of India's technical capability of manufacturing of vaccines for COVID-19. Further, there are talks to expand G7 to include India, Australia, South Korea, and make it G7 plus 3 or D10, which means democracies of 10. This idea was being supported by USA and UK, but the D10 to become a reality need consensus of all the G7 members. Now let us see the importance of India if it joins G7. It will further its security and foreign policy interests, especially at the nuclear club, which was said to have 9 nations like USA, UK, Russia, etc. And also it will help India to get a permanent seat at United Nations Security Council. At the same time, joining G7 could help in protecting its interest in the Indian Ocean. You can use this point in your mains answer. I hope now you are comfortable with the topic G7. If you found this content helpful, then please do like, share and subscribe to Shantha Lakshmi IAS Academy YouTube channel. Thank you.